Hello, and welcome back to the channel, my Archaeos. It is me, Archaeo Gamer, and today it's a new video. Way Geophysics in a new room. There's a lot of construction going on, so for my safety, they put me in another room, and it keeps them safe as a B&B, and myself as an individual that's staying here. So today's video is called Geophysics, and what geophysics is and what it does for archaeology. So geophysics in archaeology is really just a helping tool before we go on the site, go on site before we start digging or to do any investigation. So geophysics, there's a lot of techniques that you can use, but the main ones that we use is magnetometry and earth resistance, and I'll give you a quick lowdown on how that happens. So magnetometry is kind of basically, it says it's in its name, it's based off the magnetic fields from the North and South Pole. If you're using a handheld one that we did in Sligo IT, it has to always point north. But you can get expensive rods that are like my magnetometry rods are like that, and they're, but two in the examples that I have when I share the screen, it basically takes the magnetic, so they're spaced individually apart. They're spaced like 1 meter apart or 2 meters apart, so they can get accurate readings. And it uses the magnetic, so like magnetic currents. So if there's iron there, like, or anything metal, like modern, like even metal, like, you know, metal cans or zippers that have been lost through the years, it will send kind of like a reaction up. And the magnetic will pull it out of place, not a tiny bit, but it will. In England, the white and grey in results is positive, and then the black is negative. So a negative, negative feature would be basically, if it's in a circle and it's black, it means that it's been man manipulated. But in Ireland, black is positive and white is negative. So in Ireland, like if we had a ring ditch or a ring barrow or a ring fort, or like anything like that, or stones. Sometimes stones can have magnetivity as well. Depending on the landscape it's in, it will send out this kind of black. Like say in a Roman house in England would send out like kind of a black kind of outline on what it is. In Ireland, really, we have rock, but it could be for kilns, it could be for anything really, anything that's stone made. It will send out like kind of a magnetism on the stone that it's based on, like kind of the foundation that it's built on, and it'll give out this kind of black or black kind of response. And I'll show you in the results what I mean by that. Yeah, so basically what magnetometry does, it's, so you have to set up a grid. So you have, you set out like a point, so you go north, south, east and west, and you have to set up there if it's handheld. Now we did that in Sligo just as an introduction to techniques into geophysics, and then we did advanced geophysics where you have to go, we were doing stuff online where you have to look up, like in historical viewfinder and the other one as well, the one I did in the video to online, like kind of research and archaeology, and then you go through these kind of periods. Now my lecturer James Bonsall, he's really high up in our Irish geophysics. He's really good, and I really enjoyed his attempts and his work. So earth resistance, he taught me that in Sligo. So in earth resistance is the exact same thing. It's two prongs, and it sends an electrical current from one to the other, and anything interference, the delay that it brings back will kind of show if it's positive or negative, and the distance. So in earth resistance, it's basically you have to level, like in kind of the magnetometry where you have to set up the north. It doesn't really do that, but you have to balance your machines before you do anything really. So you balance the machine. So like for the magnetometry, you'll be getting it to where north is, and then you have to keep it going towards north. In earth resistance, it's kind of like you have to find level ground where they're reading the exact same number. So it could be a high number, it could be a low number, it doesn't really matter. They just have to be on, like each peg has to read the exact same, and if it doesn't, you have to kind of figure out where. The cord could be 5 meters to 10 meters long in earth resistance, and then you just basically do it like that. So what it does before we go on to doing our investigations, either in stage 1, 2, or 3, which is kind of I'll go through that when we're going through them videos. I have a couple of videos lined up. I'll probably be pre-recording some videos today and tomorrow, just to get them up. But it's nearly 2 weeks now, just under 2 weeks now, where I'll be going back home, and I'll have other content for the rest of the, over the Christmas period. So today is just a little basics in what geophysics is. So magnetometry is, you can have a handheld, you can have 2 prongs, or you can have 4 rods on a cart that you can push, or also motorized, so basically a quad bike, and you can do it on a bigger scale if the field is on a bigger scale. Earth resistance, it's more time consuming as well, but if you, depending on the magnetometry, your line in magnetometry, you have to set up lines and you have to follow that line. In earth resistance, you go between the lines. It depends on how close they are, so how close you put your steps. So if it's 0.25 meters to each way, you stop, you walk, and stop or start. In earth resistance, you can get it cleaner and crisper as well. And in magnetometry, well, magnetometry is a bit tricky because you need to know the landscape, like the bedrock in the landscape, and also you have to take in factors that modern techniques or modern interruptions like cans and zippers and all that kind of stuff are coming into play. So it can skew your results, so they normally kind of contrast the two with archaeological features. So I'll show you what the rods look like in a two rodded one, and then a 4 rodded one, and then what a resistance actually looks like. So I'll share the screen, I'll take down the logo here. Go follow me on Instagram, ArchaeoGamer2020 on Instagram and Twitter, and give me your views. What you want to see? Do you want more Reddit videos? Do you want TikTok videos? Do you want gaming videos, which will be coming soon? But any other videos that you want, or that you think you're interested in, if it's historical, archaeological, if you want to know anything more, and I'll do the research, because these archaeological ones take a bit of research. So it does, for me, working full time Monday to Friday, and then researching in between, then it is a lot of time consuming. But I enjoy doing it because I like this audience, I like this platform. It's keeping my creativity up, especially in Kerry here, but also when I'm at home, and especially during them lockdown phases where we were kind of stuck in. I couldn't go anywhere really. We didn't really want to go out because we have family that we want to visit. So it keeps the creativity going. It keeps the content coming as well, because I'm stuck at home basically. But yeah, we're doing really, really well. I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Just keep it up. It's your own responsibilities now. So please, just think of your family and think of yourselves. And I know you want to meet up with your friends. I have friends all over in Athlone. Nebby's from Athlone. Kev and Marson are another 2 friends of mine. They're stuck up in Sligo, and Claude's stuck up in Sligo as well. So I can't visit them, but I really want to visit them, but when the time is right. And people over in Spain as well. I have friends that have moved to Spain as well. So I do want to see these people, but my family is first. So just keep up the great work, people. I know it's really, really hard at the moment because we're coming to Christmas, but please just keep it going, because we're nearly there, and we've been one of the best so far. So just keep it going, please. So sorry about that, for that kind of little lecture there, but we're going to go on to it. So here is the 2-rodded magnetometer here. Your man is holding it on his shoulder, and he's holding this beam here just to keep it level, and he's walking in this line. You can see this line vaguely with the white string. So you set up lines and you walk that one with the magnetometer, where the magnetometer is actually above it or beside it. It doesn't really have to be exact, but it just has to be there to do your lines. That's a 2-person one, and this is in a small field, so he'd probably be able to get it done pretty quickly. If you're in a field, like a farmer's field like this, where there's boundaries and stuff like that, and the cart is really, really good, you can get right up to the boundary, then reverse back, then do a line again, and keep following your lines. And you'll be able to hatch that onto a quad bike as well, which is really, really good. They're vertical poles, as you can see there, and the sensors are little magnetism in the soil, and if there's ironwork being involved or anything like that, or cans or zippers, it will move it a little bit because of its magnetism, but it will actually be able to show you what's there. So, and this is what the rods are. Like, that's one current there. You can see the yellow line here. It's strings just to keep the line involved. So that's the meter on top, where you'll see if the two rods are reading the exact same, and then if it spikes, you might be able to see if there's something there. If it's higher, so say if you start off at 0, to say, like, it won't actually start off at 0, but if you start off at 0 and then you get a spike, it goes up gradually. So say if you went to 20, 30, 40, then you got a big jump from 40 to 70, or 70 to 100, then you know that there's something there in the lines, and you follow that line all the way to the end. Then you go to the next line and you start again and you keep going. So that's what it is. This fella here holding the line is just so that he can keep going, and he pulls it with him so he can actually move it up. And then once the line is done there, he will take it out again, find a spot where it's level again, and then it will continue on. You can kind of get maybe 2 or 3 lines off one spot, and then you have to readjust it again, but that's just the way it is. And from archaeology in Wales, they did this is just telling you can get the full survey, but this is what earth resistance and magnetometry looks like. So as you can see there, this is a big massive ring, so maybe that was a ditch, and then here is possibly could be a house, it could be anything really, and then there's an entrance. It could be an entrance or another kind of another sword. It could have been added on. There's another pit there. It could be pits. It could be pits. It could be anything. But you can see there that they're staggered here, so that means this was the limit of the area that they could work in. And this big white line here, now that could be just from the kind of the reading itself. They have to kind of stitch them together. Or this, if it was magnetometry or if it was earth resistance, then I'm very sure it would be magnetometry. A big spike will come through, and that is the magnetism going straight through this. So something could have been like modern interference coming straight through here, or it's just the results itself where they have to stitch it. In magnetometry, you would see the black lines a little bit better because of the cut, but you can see that very, very well there. The cut is really, really nice there, and this circle here. So as the results kind of go, you can kind of see that as you can see, like, the cuts there are kind of the circles are really, really clean and crisp, and there's a smaller circle in the middle, so that kind of means that there's something going on. So that could be a boundary ditch, like a boundary circle ditch, or it could be just a circular ditch where it was a part of a cemetery. We don't really know. And then the circle could be a roundhouse, or kind of a roundhouse, either from Mesolithic, Neolithic, or Iron Age, where they had these kind of houses. From the Bronze Age, they were kind of living in roundhouses, but then they were kind of going into rectangular. And then definitely in early medieval, late medieval, and high medieval, they're the late, high, and middle periods of early medieval. They were starting to build towns. So it doesn't tell you what exactly is there. It just kind of gives you, like, okay, there's something in this field that is worth looking at. You can eliminate. That's from stage 1. You come in. It's the testing phase. I'll show you in the next video, or the second video after this. I think I'm doing a Reddit video after this, or something else coming after this, and then it'll be stage 1, where I'll show you what happens when you're doing a stage. I'll have to draw that out kind of properly and kind of show you what I mean in a field. So, like, I'll kind of make up a kind of a fake field, and I'll show you what I mean. I'll put up the limits and stuff like that. So basically, that is today's video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe, and peace.